Hey everybody. So in this video I'm going to show you how I built my rod rack. I did a lot of searching around the big box stores and online for a rod rack that I can put in my house and display some of my rods, and I just couldn't find anything I liked enough, so I decided to build one on my own. This is completely customized to fit my needs. It ended up turning out really nice. I really like it. So in these first few clips, if you like what you see, follow along in the video, and hopefully you guys get around to building one on your own. Okay, so the material list will be in the description below, but for the wood, we have one 1x12, two 1x4s, one 1x6, two 1x10s, two more 1x4s. Now these, if you get a long enough piece here, you can get those smaller pieces out of the same cut of wood, but the lengths and all that will be in the description. And then we have two 2x4s that we cut, and we also put a 45-degree angle for a little decorative piece. And then we have two 1x2s to hold the fish mounts to the rod rack. But again, this will be in the description below with the lengths that we need to cut it. All right, I'm using a 12-inch miter saw to do my cuts, but you can use whatever saw you have. All right, so with my rod rack, I'm deciding to do 8-inch gaps between each rod because I want big offshore conventional reels. But if you have smaller spinning reels or smaller conventional, you're gonna space your holes according to what your specific needs are. So this is a very custom part. But regardless, with a 1x10 piece, which is what we're using to build it and what you guys should use too, you're going to want to be 1 7/8 inch from this edge going this way. That way your holes are equally spaced, and when you do your cut with the table saw, it's going to come out nice. So I started at 4 inches, went 8 inches here, 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 4 inches. So that's going to work for me, but you can go, 6-inch gaps, 4-inch gaps, whatever you need to do. So you're going to use a 2 1/8 inch hole saw, and that's going to drill your holes. And after you cut it in half, it's going to be your top piece and your bottom piece, and that's what keeps your rods from falling over. So we're going to go ahead and drill the holes here and move on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drill out these holes. All right, so we drilled our holes, and what we did is we cut right down the middle all the way down to split these pieces up. This is going to be your top piece right here, and don't throw this away because this is going to be your bottom piece. Okay, we got all our wood cut. Now it's time to start assembling. Because this is a decorative piece, I chose to use L brackets instead of just screwing anywhere because I want to keep all the screws hidden. These aren't that expensive. You can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, or any hardware store, and it's worth it just to keep the screws hidden. Okay, we're starting our build from the feet up. So right now this is the base plate. What I'm doing is I'm screwing the base plate into the 2x4. Just send a screw down the center and make sure that your 2x4 is flush with the front of the base plate, which is a 1x4. And make sure they're even with the other side so they don't look weird when it's done. Okay, so here's the legs. What I'm doing now is I'm screwing the legs into the 2x4 from the inside. So I know I'm sending screws through, but you won't be able to notice these screws when it's done because the bottom piece will be blocking it, and so you have nothing to worry about here. So just make sure you're nice and level so it doesn't lean one way or the other. If you want yours to be a little closer to the wall, try not to center it and actually put more towards the front than the back. Okay, so here's the support beam going across the top of the rod rack. This is here for support to keep it sturdy, and it also looks nicer to have something underneath the top piece rather than just a bunch of empty backspace. So this is a dual purpose piece here. Just put the L brackets on there, screw it in, and it doesn't have to be centered exactly. So I centered mine, but it doesn't really have to be perfectly centered. Okay, measure the width of your piece here, and what you're doing is whatever number you have, you're gonna put your L bracket, that far from the top of the leg. That way, when the legs are done, you can just put the top piece right on and send a screw through the L bracket, and you're good to go. So make sure you're nice and level here as well, so it ends up being nice when you're done. Alright, here's the top piece. Just like I said, it's going to rest right on those L brackets, just like that. And now you're just going to tighten it down with the screw, and now your pieces are connected, and at this point you're pretty close to being done. You just have a few more pieces to do, and so this is not that hard of a rod rack to build. It doesn't take very long. But this is a good time to mention that this drill that I'm using is a little big for this project. If you have a smaller drill, it'd probably be a good thing to use. Okay, so I'm measuring 12 inches up here. So this is going to be the bottom part of the rod rack piece that I originally drilled holes through, and also a back plate to help with sturdiness, and also just to give it a little extra, just to give it a look. You don't want too much empty space back there. So 12 inches up on all four sides. This is going to keep it nice and even, nice and sturdy. And what you're doing is you're putting an L bracket at each one, and you're going to mount your pieces directly on top of those L brackets, similar to what you did on the top of the rod rack. So I started pre-drilling holes with a screw and then pulling it back out before I had the L bracket up, and this helped a lot. But if you have a little drill bit just to get it started, it really helps a lot. Also, if you have somebody to help you with this part, it really helps a lot. When you're by yourself, it's a little difficult. So, okay, you're gonna put that piece facing in to where if you pull that piece up to the top, it's basically creates that board again. So you're basically gonna put that board on top and push it down to 12 inches, and that's what you have. So it's basically a wedging system, is what it is. So the top of the rod goes one way, and the bottom of the rod goes the other way, and it keeps it nice and sturdy in there. Also, this is pine. I think pine has a really nice look, especially after it's stained. So, and this is available at Lowe's. That's where I went to get this stuff. You can pretty much buy these pieces where they're pretty close to what you need for this project. You do have to make some cuts regardless, but really not that many cuts. And all these dimensions will be in the description below, so please take a look at that if you need a reminder. Okay, so that's the 1x4, and that's just there for look and to help the whole rod rack, help the sturdiness of it. Okay, flip it over, see how everything's nice and level and even. Okay, so now this is the bottom piece. This is going to be at about a 45-degree angle, and this is what the rod butt is actually going to sit on, and it's going to keep it leaning one way so it really wedges in there good. So put your piece up, have a pencil handy, and get it at a 45-degree angle, and make sure both sides are the same and nice and level, and go ahead and screw L brackets in each side. And this piece is a 1x6 and it's blocking those screws that I talked about earlier that we put into the legs. So you will not be able to see those screw holes when you're done with this. Okay, the rod rack is complete. Now I want to talk to you a little about the wood carved fish. Don't worry, you do not have to carve these yourselves. These are available on eBay. This is a sailfish, and this is a mahi-mahi. The guy that has this on eBay, he has a lot of different options. So if you don't like sailfish or mahi-mahi, he has things like trout, redfish, all kinds of different options. So I'll put the link in the description below of where you can find this. And you know, this really finishes off the piece really well, so it's a great addition. They're not too expensive. You can put one if you're on a budget. I like two. I don't know. I think it fills it out better, but one right in the center will be fine too. Okay, so here's the pieces we're going to use to actually mount the fish to the rod rack. These are 1x2s. What you're going to do is you're just going to basically use just like a picture frame. That's what's going to be on the back of these fish that you buy. And you're just putting a screw out just like you would a wall to hang it on there. Now the other side of that is you're gonna screw to the back of the rod rack, the top piece of the rod rack, and you know, just send a screw through the middle and maybe put another one closer to the side to keep it from leaning, and that's really all this takes. So keep in mind that these fish are going to be different heights, so don't just do both the same. Go ahead and do one and go measure the other one separately just to make sure that they're level. Because they will not be level if you just do both of the 1x2s the same height. Okay, the rod rack is 100% done now. The wood carvings are installed, and we're good to go. The last thing there is left is staining. If you like the look of pine on its own, fantastic. I think it looks great. It does darken over the years too, to a nice look, like a darker yellow or a light like a tan. So I do like the look, but I'm trying to match it to the color of the actual carvings, and it also matches other furniture in the house too. So I'm gonna stain mine. And just a couple of tips. With pine pre-stain conditioner, it's probably a good idea to use some just so it's a nice even stain. I would consider doing so. You don't have to, but I think it looks better if you do. And make sure if you're using an oil-based wood conditioner, you're using an oil-based stain, and that's what I recommend as well. I think it comes out better. So that's really it. So we just got some staining to do. Once it's done, we let it dry, and we're ready to put the rods on. Okay, so we're gonna add our pre-wood conditioner here. You wanna put a generous amount, and whatever doesn't get soaked up by the wood, you can just wipe off. But you wanna be as even as possible with this. And you want to go with the grain of the wood. Okay, so I gave the pre-stain conditioner about an hour to soak in. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to put a nice amount of the stain on top. And again, you want to go with the grain with the stain too. Put a nice amount on there, even amount, and let the wood soak it in. And I'm going to let it sit about 5 minutes, and whatever is not soaked in after 5 minutes, you just wipe away with a rag. And what it doesn't soak in after 5 minutes, it doesn't want. So you're going to do this throughout the whole piece, and it takes a little bit of time actually, but it'll look real nice when it's done. So here's the finished rod rack. I've got my rods on it already. I think it looks great. It wasn't too difficult to build, so I highly suggest you guys give it a shot. I think it'll be a great addition to your home. And if you liked the video, do me a favor and please like it and subscribe to my channel. Good luck building it, and thank you.